It's blowing a genuine storm outside, and I am genuinely excited at the prospect of listening to Kevin Parker's latest instalment of the Tame Impala saga. The Slow Rush! This is the Tame Impala album that I have been experiencing the build-up to. Before we had Inner Speaker, Lonerism, Currents, all that happened before I was born. But this one, I was along for the ride, I was along for the singles, I was along for Patience and Borderline and Lost in Yesterday and Posthumous Forgiveness, and I liked all of those songs. If I've had any problems with Kevin Parker's direction of late, it's that I've had a little trouble understanding exactly what he's saying in the songs without having to read the lyrics. But that's probably the case with all of Tame Impala's work so far. What I like about Kevin Parker is the fact that he treats making music, I believe this, he treats making music like science, and his studio is like a science lab, and he boils away at these things until he gets them just the way he wants them. Alternatively, when I'm driving around at the moment in my car, I'm listening to nothing but Bob Dylan, where what he says is the most important thing. For me, the impression I get is that Tame Impala can just wash over you. Sounds as textures, music as landscape. And perhaps that's what I'm expecting with this album, especially from the album cover. And the album name, The Slow Rush. That suggests to me that Kevin Parker's aware that the fans have felt that this has been a long time coming. But I also think it means that even though he's had years to make this, he actually, just like me with assignments at school, give me a month to do it, I will do it with 2 hours to go. And I'll hand it in 1 minute before it's due. And that's kind of what I'm expecting here. I'm expecting the work of a fevered, mad scientist. Not mentally ill, just mad. So let's take a listen. Overall, I really enjoyed that. Thematically, as represented by the artwork, the passing of time, the continuation of the feeling of loneliness that I think Kevin Parker's always had, the fact that the album's bookended by songs One More Year, One More Hour. Lyrically, from what I heard during that little session with Kevin Parker, I was hearing, to me, and I might be putting my own spin on it here, his fear of the passing of time and the fact that can you maintain who you are as the years go by, or was there a moment somewhere along the line where you were at your best and you can never, it's like a peak that you can never reach again, and the problem is that you never realise you were at that peak and you can only ever look back at the past times. I really enjoyed that. I would place it somewhere, I kept saying as I was listening to it, somewhere between the 70s and the 90s, which I suppose places it in the 80s. But for me, the drum sound, the arpeggios on the keyboards, very much placed it in the 70s. And I like the fact that Kevin Parker continues to use his voice as an instrument. You have the option of finding out what he's singing about if you want to get deep, but otherwise you can listen to it surface level and enjoy it. I thought it was good, I enjoyed it. There were moments on here that were actually quite experimental. There were bits that threw me. There were bits that seemed purposefully thrown together, purposefully haphazard. And that's interesting from someone who you assume does treat the studio like a laboratory and acts like a scientist towards his music. But then that fits in very much with the idea of the slow rush. People waiting, anticipating. And he has a mad dash to get to the end. I like that. Gets a thumbs up. Let me know what you thought of that down in the comments, my mercenaries. Until we meet again, over and